do instead of being so concerned about himself, he can use that. That's why he used David, right? That's why he could no longer use King Saul, because King Saul was more worried about what his agenda was instead of worrying about what God wanted him to do. When we worry about what God wants us to do, we can begin to really fall in line to what he's designed. When God brings together, no man to tear asunder. Who God's for, no one can be against, because God is in control. Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom, his kingdom, and his righteousness, and everything else will be added. We have to learn to seek his face first. Seek him. Have you asked God, God, allow me to seek you, right? Allow me to be not just a good person, but to be how the Bible describes a righteous person. And we see that in here, that the angel says, like, I would have killed you if the donkey wouldn't have turned away. And right there, he fell on his face and he gave God the glory. And the angel told him, he said, listen, you're allowed to go with these people, but the message that he told you to bless and not curse, that's what you may do. Now, as humans, we don't listen. So once he got to Balak, he said, "Hey, we're gonna put up 7 altars, and we're gonna on each altar we're gonna sacrifice 1 ram and 1 ox. Okay, and after I sacrifice these oxen and these rams, I'm gonna pray to God and ask him what he want me to do. Keep in mind, he's already told him twice what to do. Then the angel of the Lord came to him a 3rd time and told him, listen, this is what God told you to do. Why is he still seeking a word from the Lord? Why? Because his own fleshly desires. Think of it. He was being paid to do this. He was being paid for these religious and divine messages he was receiving for God. He was promised all these riches, and he was still falling in line to what he wanted to do, not what God needed him to do. Right? Now this happens 3 times. He builds 3 separate. 3 times he builds 7 altars for the oxen and the ram, and Balak takes him from place to place to place each time. The first time, God gives them the same message. These people are blessed. You can't touch Israel. Jacob was over Israel at the time. You can't touch Jacob. They're a blessed people. He tells Balak this. Okay. Balak says, okay, we must be in the wrong place. Let me take you somewhere else. You take him to another place. Do the same thing. God tells them again, they're blessed. Do not touch them. Right? Balak gets even mad. Like, okay, it must not be the right place. I'm going to take you again. Then he takes him to where the Israelites were so he could see what Balak and the Midianites and Moabites were saying. Like Balak was like, listen, Balaam, this is what we talking about. See these people? They gonna kill us. Keep in mind, Israelites knew none of this. They knew none of this was going on. They knew nothing about the Balak and Balaam's plan. When you step into the will of God and the purpose he has for your life, he will give you protection when you don't even know what's going on. When you can't make sense of it, when you can't see the enemy plotting against you, when you can't see your enemies and your adversaries plotting against you, he will give you that grace and that mercy and that favor that overpowers everything in the situation. See, the problem is when we're wrapped up in a situation we're going through and we think God is not on our side, our circumstances are bigger than our connection to God. Our circumstances and our situations are bigger than our prayer life. Our circumstances and our situations are bigger than our worship. Our circumstances and our situations are bigger than our Bible time. Like it's cool to go to church on Sundays and go to Bible study Wednesdays. That's cute. That's great. But he's calling you higher. It's cool to go to be in the choir and the minister on Sundays. That's cute. But he's calling you higher. He's calling you to give him your all. He's calling you to pick him first, not just with your offering and your tithe. Not just the first thing you think about in the morning and saying your prayer. Not just that. That is important. Not just the last thing you do when you go to sleep. Not just that. He wants to talk with you. He's calling you to an intimate relationship that is consistent, daily, and throughout the day. How many times have you worshiped him just in the middle of the day just because? Are you making a constant effort to be in his presence continuously? Or are you wrapped up in what you got to do? In business, we call it the whirlwind. I got to pay rent. I got to work. I got to get the kids from here. I got to pick up the kids from daycare. I got to make the food. I got to clean the house. I got to make sure the line's cut. I got to be at this birthday party. I got to be at this ceremony. This person getting graduated. This person going to prom. I got to take care of all that whirlwind. Martha in Luke chapter 10, verse 38 through 42. Martha was so concerned in everything else, trying to get the feast prepared because the disciples and Jesus was at her house, trying to get the feast prepared, making sure the house looked nice, making sure all the things were done, making sure everybody was comfortable. She was so wrapped up into the whirlwind. And she got upset because her sister Mary was sitting at Jesus' feet just listening to what he was saying. And Martha goes to Jesus and says, Jesus, don't you think it's a little unfair? Martha ain't helping me. Why is she sitting there? Tell her to get up and help me. That's not fair. And Jesus said this. He said it. One thing about it, when we're trapped up in our whirlwind, Jesus still sees us. He's not a guy that doesn't understand. He understands that we have all these things on our mind, and our fleshly mind is wrapped up into these things. We want to just do a good job being a good person. He understands that, but he still corrects us. He says, Martha, Martha, you're so concerned about so many things. Your sister Mary has found the one thing that matters. You should do the same. And this will never be taken away from her. See, Mary had found the one thing that matters, which is the relationship and the intimacy with God in our daily life. That will make everything smooth. That will make you see clearer, hear clearly from him. That will make the wall, God can enter your life to where all the walls fall down and everything's plain and see. And even when stuff is going around that and you're perplexed and stuff is going all around your head, even when life is just lifing. Even when life is just lifing, he will give you peace in the storm. See, we have an intimate connection with God and we allow him to work into our lives. He makes everything, even though it don't make sense in the natural, makes sense. And that's something we can't do. How many of you ever been in a situation where stuff just doesn't make sense? Like the math ain't mathing on these bills. I got health and all this thing coming at me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got my kids are acting up. My wife tripping. My husband tripping. The kids, I don't know what they smoking. How many of you have been in situations where stuff is just, you don't know. You don't know what's going on. I'm a believer, and I can tell you firmly that God, even when stuff don't make sense on the outside, he can make your mind at peace. He can make you whole. He can restore what you've lost. If you've gone through loss, he can restore it. He can make things right in your life that were never right before him. But he's calling you higher. You have to fall in line. You have to say, Jesus, allow me to fall into your will and purpose in my life. Show me what you're calling me to do, and I will be obedient. Not my will, but your will be done. So we see in the third time on this, where he does the same thing, and he does not do what Balak wanted him to do. Right? And by this time, because Balaam is going off the walls and not following what he commanded him to do, Balaam is now being put into a trance and being used by God. He says, since you can't do what I'm telling you to do, I'ma just do it. In 24 it says, and when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he went not as the other times to seek for enchantments, but he set his face toward the wilderness. Balaam was still trying to do what he wanted to do. He said, man, it's the third time I asked this man to build an altar. Balak is going to be upset. He's still telling me to bless Israel. So I don't know what's going to happen, right? And it said, Balaam lifted his eyes and he saw Israel abiding in the tents according to their tribes. And the Spirit of God came upon him. Balak did not want to do what God was telling him to do. We done been through this last two chapters. He was steady trying to do his own thing because it's like, Balaam done gave me this money. He done made me all these promises, and he still can't get what he wants. He still can't get him cursed. Meanwhile, he knew this before the journey even started. He could have been like, you know what? No, God is saying no, man, just go. But he's still trying to say, well, maybe if I can go to God again, it might happen. How many times we tried to bargain with God, like, God, I know you said no to this person, but I love him. I know you said no to this opportunity, but it's some money to be made here. That was me. I know you said no to whatever, but God, come on now. That's Balaam right now. And God came upon him. See, the thing is, God don't need us to do our will. He can do it for us. But he's given us a privilege to walk into our purpose that he's called us for in our life. We got to step up to the plate, y'all. So it says, and he took Balaam, his parable, God's parable, and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, hath said, And the man whose eyes are open have said, verse 4, he has said, which heard the words of God, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but have his eyes open. How godly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacle of Israel. Again, he's speaking about the children of Israel. As the valleys are, they spread forth, as the garden by the riverside, as the trees of the Linn aloes, which the Lord hath planted, and as cedar trees beside the waters. He shall pour the water out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and the kingdom shall be exalted. He's basically saying that Jacob, that's who Israel is, right? And the people of Israel will be blessed and they will be abundant, right? And it's saying that God shall be exalted because of this. And it says in verse 8, God brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath as it were the strength of a unicorn. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones and pierce them through his arrows. Again, he's blessing the children of Israel. And it says here in verse 9, he couched ye lay down as a lion and as a great lion, who shall stir him up. Blessed is he that blesseth thee, and curses thee that curseth thee. Again, God is saying my word is true. Israel is going to be blessed. Jacob is going to be blessed. He's like a mighty unicorn. He's going to be blessed. And everybody that bless him is going to be blessed. Everybody that curse him is going to be cursed. And now here's when Balak gets even more angrier. He says, we done did this 3 times, man. I asked you to curse these people. You haven't cursed these people yet. Right? And I think it's so funny that every time that Balak basically presses Balaam about not cursing his people, now Balaam tries to put it back on God. See, every time Balak asks him to curse people, it's like, okay, I'll see what the Lord wants me to do, knowing Balaam knowing that he can't do it. And then when it don't come through and he blesses them yet again, Balaam like, well, I only can do what the Lord tells me to do, right? How many times we got into a situation we got ourselves in, but when it didn't turn out but it messed up, we blame God, like God must not love me, God must not. And I'm just speaking for myself. God must not love me, But when he come through, God's good all the time, and all the time he's good, right? But when he doesn't, it's like, God, like, how could you? And we got to understand again, it's our own selves not falling into the will of God and what he's calling us to do in their lives. In verse 12 of chapter 24, it says, and Balaam said unto Balak, spake I not also thy messengers, which thou sentest unto me, saying, if Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the commandment of the Lord, to do either good or bad of my own mind, but with the Lord that will speak. If that was true, Balaam, then why you just when they came back, why you deny them then? Why did you go with them in the first place? See, he uses God when it's fitting, and we do that. We use God when it fits us, but when it don't fit us, we try to put God back in his box. But we still expect God to be faithful to us, even though we're not faithful to him. We got to start being faithful. I had this question in my mind a while ago when I was leading Bible study. I was like, what if God was as faithful to us as we were to him? What if God was just as faithful? Like all the times we didn't go into what God was calling us to do, may have blamed God for certain stuff, didn't listen to what he was telling us to do. What if he repaid a favor for a favor and was just as faithful? When we were faithful, he was faithful. And when we wasn't faithful, he wasn't faithful. Think of where you would be. I urge you guys to walk into the purpose God is calling you. I urge you to ask him, what's the purpose he has for you in his will for your life? And I urge you to do this and listen to him and watch what he does in your life. This has been Solid Food with Jon Lane. God bless you.